Hi guys, welcome to a Roblox scripting tutorial. Today we'll be talking about variables in Roblox Studio. So what I have loaded up is a normal starter base plate, and it's important that we have our output window open just so we can see our results. So to do that, we click on view and then we click on output. I already have it open, but if you don't have it open, you would click output and then you can see your output window. Next up, we will go ahead and start our scripting, or we'll start our coding. We will go to workspace, click the little plus sign, go down until we see script. Okay, so initially you are greeted with this one print statement, which is hello world. Now if we run it, we can see in our output window we get hello world. That is because we are using this word called print, and we are passing in anything we want to output in the console window. So in this case, they put hello world. Now we're going to go ahead, delete that, and get started with talking about variables. Variables, they are a name that holds a value and they are stored into memory. Just like in math, you have your equation, say 3x plus 3. X is a variable. Like in coding, we can say and complete this equation by saying what value is x. And in this case, we set x to 5, which would give us the result of 18 because 5 times 3 is 18 plus 3. So if we want to see our result, we would print this. However, instead of saying 3x, we need to indicate we want to multiply. So we can do 3 times x plus 3. Now if you run it, we will get 18. Now that's all variables are. They are a placeholder with the special name that you assign them to be. It is important to know that the name you assign it to be, this cannot be any name. There are some restrictions that we have to follow. We'll go ahead and talk about what's valid. It can be all capital, so we can say capital is a valid name. Right? We can have a mixture of numbers. Say we want a what? This is valid. We can have underscores. That is valid. Starting with an underscore is also valid. However, not valid. Not valid names are reserved keywords such as if, while. This is because when the compiler looks at your code, when it parses your code, it looks for if the name is a reserved keyword. And when you have a reserved keyword, it's saving that for like special operations, such as if statements, if like this, if statements, loops, etc. You can also not start with a number. Local, say 25th. You cannot start with a number on the variable, so that's invalid. However, whatever is above here is valid. So basically, you can name this anything you want. You're assigning 5 to the word capital, which, you know, in our language, it does not make sense. When we're talking about coding, it makes a lot of sense to compiler. We can say 3 times capital plus 3, which will give us the same exact result. That's just the beauty of coding. There are these things called naming conventions. These are rules that you do not have to follow but are good to have a structure when naming your code. What I like to use is camel case. Camel case, where the first letter of the word is a lowercase, but every subsequent word on the variable name is an uppercase. So let's say we do local, she sells seashells, right? She, the first word, it will be lowercase. That's his lowercase, and then every subsequent word after that is uppercase. Sells seashells. You don't have to follow this structure, but it's a good habit to do when you're coding. So we'll go ahead and talk about the different data types that you can assign to variables. In this case, what we have been doing this whole time is we are assigning a number, or specifically an integer, to our variable. We'll be talking about other types such as string and boolean. So for a string is basically a word. Local x equals, and the word is basically denoted by these quotation marks that you're saying you want to store a word into this variable. So let's go ahead and give it the word test, right? Or actually, we could do hello world. Just like how initially we were greeted with this, except it was wrapped in quotation marks, right? We were greeted with this hello world. We can go ahead store this into a variable, and instead of printing hello world, we can print x. If you print x, it will say hello world because we are telling the program, hey, we want to print out x. It looks what is x in the memory, and it finds x is a word hello world. So basically that's that. There are other tricks you can do with strings such as concatenation. I guess we could go ahead and do that right now. Local, we could say local y equals to the moon. And then we can local z can do x dot dot y, which basically says, hey, I want to grab x and then I want to combine it with y and store it into z. So if I go ahead print z, it should give us hello world to the moon. But as you can see, it looks a little weird. That is because when we combine them, we don't have a space in here. So all it does is it looks like this. It looks like that. If we want to fix that, we can go ahead and delete the y for now. We can say x dot dot, we want to have a space, so we can force a space in there and then join it with another 2 dots, y. And if we print out z, as you can see, hello world to the moon, right? So concatenations are pretty important to know. And you can also store booleans as your data type. Booleans, opposed to having numbers or integers, what else can they hold? Well, they can hold neither of those, but you can store the word true or false, right? They can only store 2 things. So you name this test, boolean test, test2. So if we go ahead print this out, boolean test, it prints out true, right? Now booleans are pretty important. We will explain its importance later on, but for now they can hold 2 things, which is true or false, or true indicated with 1, false indicated with 0. So that's that for booleans. Now another trick that we can do is we can assign values to multiple variables at the same time. So let's say that, let's go ahead and focus on our strings for now. If I don't like how these appear on the same line, what I could do is, instead of them as separate lines, I could do local x comma y, set them equal to what we want them to be. The first thing will go to the first variable that we specify, and then we separate them with a comma, the moon. Now, instead of having 2 lines, we had them in 1, but it will result in the same functionality as we had before. So if we print x and y, hello world to the moon. Okay. Also, we can specify that we want a comma to, in the print statement, that we want to print multiple things out on the same line. Hello world to the moon. And it automatically includes a space in here, as you can see. However, in here we don't have a space. What you can also do is, let's say I don't want y to equal to the moon anymore. So we can change its value by saying this variable name equals to a different word. So want it to be, I don't know, say road, capital R. So we print this out. Hello world road, right? Instead of to the moon, we assigned it a new name, or a new string, which is road, and that's why it gets overwritten. That's pretty much it when it comes to coding. One more thing is that because it's important to know that the program reads the script top down. That's how the compiler reads. And which means that if we don't have a variable declared by the time the compiler reaches it, let's say that we want to print out y, print out x and y up here actually. It is unknown to the compiler because it doesn't know what x and y is at this time because we instantiated it after on line 4, but on line 2 we wanted to reference the variables, but we did not reserve space in memory for it yet. Therefore, the compiler doesn't know what is x nor what is y. And I think that wraps up beginner side of variables. And next video we will be talking about scoping, and which is why you can also do this because the compiler reads top to bottom, x and y is not within scope of this x and y. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have learned something. Thank you.